Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Money in the Law on MyFM 101.3 with your host, Jay Marsden, the world's greatest, smartest, and most articulate lawyer from the Marsden Law Group.
Don't forget that.
I may have left that out by purpose, or no. And a young-looking gentleman, and joined by his sidekick, John Drohan from Main Effort Financial.
Yeah.
And we are Money in the Law, where we talk about all things that have to do with money that you really don't know about or don't want to talk about or we're too afraid to talk about, and all things that have to do with the legal system and law, particularly like planning and estate planning and elder law planning. And that's what we do, but we do it in such a way where not only do they find it interesting, they find it fascinating.
Riveting.
Like
riveting.
Edge of your seat kind of, wow.
Like, don't pay for the whole seat because you're only going to need the edge.
Yes.
That's right.
I love that line.
Yep. That's right.
I feel like I'm at a monster truck show. Which Money in the Law is often, we often get that. It's compared to like the last time I went to
monster truck show of
Daytona
legal
500.
advice and money advice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we're here every Saturday from 9 to 10 on MyFM 101.3 and also on the Hollison Cable Access television show. And once again, 2 weeks in a row, we are joined with,
oh my God,
with the heart and
Christmas
soul.
Come early.
Oh my God!
Christmas
Seriously,
early.
like the voice, this guy's voice, which you've heard, it is Ray from MyFM 101.3. Ray is here.
That's it.
And you just heard it. Did you hear it?
It
was almost like an angel speaking to me.
It's like an angel just got its wings.
Yep.
If I get too close to the mic, it will blow your mind.
Exactly.
From a distance.
Would you mind if I put my hand on your neck while you speak,
You'll
just
be
so
rolling,
I can feel it?
Yeah. Rolling over in your cars. So pull over, Ray's on. Pull over.
So Ray,
Yep.
and unfortunately, Ray, even though he is the talent on MyFM 101.3, he's also the senior technical producer. So he has to sit here and make sure that us two idiots who've been doing this for 8 months? No, I'm sorry, 8 years.
Yep.
Can finally sound normal on the radio.
Just like for those of you who don't get to see, like if you're watching us on HKI, you get to see the show. But when we walk in here and look at all this equipment, it's the equivalent of literally sitting a baby in an F-15, right? Go figure it out.
Yeah.
Go figure it out.
How many
Little
times?
Junior there. Go fly the plane, Junior. Fly the plane. Right?
I remember in the old days when we used to do it on Saturday, there were times when we were left alone. Like you and me were the only ones in here before it was recorded by HCAT.
There's probably no record of those shows because I'm not sure we knew what we were doing. That's right.
They never aired.
Yeah, that's right. They never made it on.
You and I were, in fact, probably Tom and Ray and Rick, they knew that we weren't on the air. It was all they were doing is
an hour of white noise.
They're like, hey, you know what? I forgot to go and I forgot to just let them go.
Guys,
It's practice for now.
That's exactly. Don't turn the mics on. Let them go. We're going to run a Sox game anyway. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter. Let them talk. Let them talk. Let them laugh at their own jokes in there.
Yeah, why didn't we hear that? I missed us on the radio. There was no feedback, Tom. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, we got a lot of calls.
Technical issue. I'll talk to Ray. That's right. And here you are. Now look at you.
All right. So one of the cool things about MyFM 101.3 is they are one of those give back places.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they're I wanted
the go-giver.
And we often bring it up, but I just wanted to make sure because I was feeling that on the way in. I was feeling kind of like that connection to the community, and and lately, in our town, Holliston, we got a bunch of stuff. There's like these issues that are going on, there's always, and so I'm lately, as of late, I'm feeling a little, and as I'm driving, I'm like, wait a minute, I get the opportunity. We get the opportunity to be on MyFM 101.3 and be part of this group. And in all seriousness, although these guys love joking around with us, they do such a wonderful job and and it's like it's just part of their DNA. Like all we do,
who they are.
Yep. All we do is we just want to do what we can to make this place better.
Well, you know what's funny? We've done a lot in terms of being involved in the community, right? And when you, and actually probably more so this year than any time, where everybody has really been, in some respects, you've really been sort of tethered to your community, right? And when I say that, what I mean is, in the past, you get up, you go to work, you come home, and sort of, if you added up the time that you were actually spending in your community, it probably wasn't a lot in the sense that by the time you come home, you had dinner, you deal with the kids, you help homework, you put kids to bed, you wake kids up, whatever you're doing. That's all encapsulated in sort of like your home life and your commuting life.
Yeah.
And I remember this from when I first moved out to suburbia, and that's what it felt like. For me, coming in here and getting up every morning, driving into Fidelity, taking the commuter on Fidelity, coming home, I felt like Monday through Friday, my existence was so far removed from the community.
Yeah, well, you know, in your defense, you didn't have time. Like
No,
you know,
that's
I mean,
right.
you're an hour and a half commute. You gotta you're at work. You're
Yeah,
in Boston
you're
all
doing
day,
your
so
thing,
you know
yeah.
you're not here. You know, and you know, and a lot of people, unfortunately, you know, that's what they have to deal with.
That was the way
right?
of the world for a while.
Yeah.
Yep. Whether it goes back to that or not, different animal.
Yeah.
But now that you're working from home, it's a little bit easier to sort of be involved and see what goes on, as crazy as it sounds like, see what goes on in your community Monday through Friday,
Yeah.
right? You know, going out for lunch or running.
Yeah, 'cause it's
errand or
different than the
going-
weekend, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's completely different. And so I think where I was going with this was your point, when you have a station that's as committed to the community as these guys are, you don't get to see and experience it as much as you do now, because you're in your community more, a sort of a work-a-day type of arrangement, right? So, you know, running out and doing things and you know, working out of your home, working out of someplace local, right? Maybe you're using the library, maybe you're using some office space, you know, locally that's remote, but you're much more in the community, and then it's really when you get to see the impact of a great organization like this.
So again, Jay and I, speaking on my partner's behalf, you know, we're really fortunate that we get to be part of this. We get to be part of,
Yes.
you know, a very small part, but a part nonetheless of.
I think they want to keep it that way. I think they like that. I think that's part of how they
I think we're big. I mean, we're big in that, you know, we have a big presence.
Sure.
But as far as, you know, do they want to expand our role? We could discuss it. I mean,
Well,
I'm
I think
we're
you
open
were talking about your COVID-19. That's what I think you were talking about. Your
we're
big
open-
presence.
Oh, we're open for discussion.
Yep. All right. Now that the
All right.
gym's open.
Yeah.
All right.
So what's going on with you?
Nothing, buddy. Just dealing with the same old stuff. You know, we're a lot of probate work recently, doing some estate planning work, helping some folks out. You know, dealing with some family dynamics and things like that.
It's always the dynamics, right?
Oh, it's always the dynamics that make it dynamic. I mean, it's, you know, so we've been working on a bunch of that stuff, and you know, the investment stuff keeps on, you know, moving along. Same as you, I'm sure. Market up, market down, market up, market down.
It's weird. The market sometimes goes up, and then sometimes it actually goes down.
You start off the same exact place you were at.
And
yeah, it's
sometimes
crazy.
it kind of you're back to the beginning. Sometimes it isn't, and some things are better than others, and some things aren't. You know, and it all depends on the time. Yeah, it's a great way to live your life. I had a question for you today. I had a question, an on-air question.
Do tell.
So I mean,
Go ahead.
and
I'll do my best.
So
Hold
one
on,
of
let me
the
just
things.
see how much time. Go ahead.
When you got time. One of the things
No,
that
I
I
just
was.
need how much time I spent talking about it so I can build you. Go ahead.
One of the things that I was that's come up recently in our practice, and I think it's worth reviewing because for a lot of people they may have one, or they may have worked with, they may have been associated with it, or they may not have one, which would be something that they need to get one really soon, is a special needs trust.
Oh yeah.
So the whole concept of a special needs trust and the requirements and what a special needs trust enables people to do who are caring for somebody with special needs, and what the purpose of it is, I think that would be worth reviewing, because a lot of people don't get it, you know, or they do get it, but then they kind of lose, you know. And for instance, what happened with us is, you know, with clients like, well, yeah, our daughter is disabled and we have a special needs trust. And I asked them, well, what's in the trust? And they're like, nothing. And I'm like, okay, well, why is that? And so you know, we kind of talked about some of the things and talked about kind of, you know, how that trust works. So I'm interested in that. I'm interested in hearing some information.
All right, so we'll talk special needs trust today. It's almost like we planned it, right? We'll talk special needs trust today. We'll talk about how that incorporates into your planning. Talk about how it incorporates into your financial planning.
Yep.
We'll talk about the pros. We'll talk about the cons. We'll talk about different ways of handling that type of situation, and more.
Did you say the pros? We'll talk about the pros.
We'll
And
talk
the
about
cons,
the pros
we'll
and
talk
cons.
about the cons.
Talk about the pros and the cons
Well,
and the way you want to handle it, because there's a couple of different ways
That's
to
going
do
to
it.
be awkward to see who
Couple
answers
different ways
those
to do it,
questions.
yeah.
All right. One more thing. We were also on Hollis and Cable Access TV.
At the helm?
Yeah. And Christian Bidet. I saw Christian's old man the other day.
Nice.
Yeah. He's the first guy who started to do any yard
Heard he was
work.
looking his age. I heard COVID does not.
Whoa!
That's what I heard.
didn't.
That's what
I
didn't say it.
that.
I'm just passing on what I heard. I'm
He's
just
a
saying.
young, you know. I mean, and you
Yeah,
know,
he's a young 70. He's a young 70. I
he's a
completely
young
agree
looking
with you.
guy. I mean,
completely, yeah.
but I'll tell you what, he's got better hair than anybody I know. Oh, still
I'll
to
gi-
this day,
I'll give you that.
He's got
Yeah, I'll
the
give you
best
that.
hair anybody.
Yeah,
All right.
I'll give you that.
All right, we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Just kidding, Keith. And we're back. My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group. John Drohan, Main Effort Financial. Ray just had about enough of us. He just bailed and ran out of the studio for all the obvious reasons.
That's lunchtime.
And yeah, it's true. Yep. Wednesday's liquid lunch. I think that's what they do here on Wednesdays.
It's funny you say that because as I'm getting ready to come film our show, I keep going back to it. It's out there. The St. Patrick's Day special is out there. It's on HCAT. It's also, I mean,
Good. If you want to see two people you should hire as your advisors on a dime, you take a look at that
and
show.
I was as I was getting dressed, I'm looking in my closet and I saw and from now on that shirt that I wore, my strap will now be the St. Patrick's Day special shirt
outfit.
Yep.
Got it. All right. Got it. So before the break, we were talking about sort of special needs trusts. Big picture, 30,000 foot. The idea behind a special needs trust is it's designed to hold assets for somebody, in most cases, somebody who's usually getting some type of governmental benefit.
Right.
Usually it's Medicaid or something along those lines.
Or Social Security, right?
That's right. The SSI or that's right. So you have a situation where somebody's getting a government benefit and inheriting money, it's usually about an inheriting money, would sort of mess that benefit up because now they would be ineligible based on most of these programs, or a lot of these programs are means tested, asset tested. So if somebody inherits money from a parent or from a loved one or from a grandparent, then that money then becomes potentially could disqualify them for benefits that they were getting that would become somewhat cost prohibitive, if you will, to provide them on their own. So they want to keep the benefits, and then they want to be able to use that money to, as the name implies, supplement the benefits that they're already getting through some type of program.
So it would be the equivalent of this, right? So, just to, and everything that Jay is saying is all, I mean, he just can't help it. He just sounds smart when he talks. So to dumb it down for somebody at my level,
sure, please.
So the idea is so the Social Security benefits that somebody may be getting, or Medicaid, or something that someone may be getting, that's their income. It's
their income. It's their health insurance.
It's their income, and it's their health insurance, and it's all. And remember, these are people, and maybe it's a child that's living with with their parents, and their parents are but all of that is part of their income. So imagine what the additional costs of, and you're limited by your own imagination, really, of the additional costs of having to take care of somebody with special needs, right?
Yeah.
And so the whole idea is that if you don't have a special needs trust and you inherit money, right? Just as if you or I who don't have we don't have special needs,
right?
But we inherit money. And then all of a sudden, can you imagine if you inherited money and then all of a sudden your income went away?
That's right.
Or your health insurance went away, or both of them went away.
Right.
So it would be the equivalent of that happening. So, where people are like, well, if they inherit a lot of money, then they won't need it. No. If you inherit a lot of money, would you want your Social Security to go away? No, that's not fair.
Well, but you bring up a great point. In some cases, that's the discussion.
Yeah.
Right. Like in some cases, somebody would say, look, depending on the amount of money we're talking about, depending on the size of the inheritance, somebody might say, look, if my loved one that has special needs inherits $3 million, $4 million, they can pay for their own medical care at that point. They can pay for insurance policy. The SSI is not an issue anymore. The trust kicks off enough income. That's always an option, right? And that's something that you think about on the front end. Unfortunately, in many cases, it's not that situation. That situation is the outlier.
Yeah, you're not.
In some cases, it's much more of a modest sum that could create a short-term problem or create a longer-term problem, and it doesn't solve a problem. It creates a problem because it's not $3 million. It might be $30,000.
Yeah. So in our case, there are 3 children that are the contingent beneficiaries of an IRA. An IRA is worth $1 million. So that person will get $330,000.
Sure.
So if you're getting a couple $1,000s a month from SSI plus your Medicaid, $330,000 doesn't generate that.
Doesn't go far.
No,
doesn't go far.
No, not at all. And oh, by the way, of additional costs that go, so now if your caregivers or your guardians aren't around, then maybe you have to hire someone else to help. There could be other costs that come along with that.
And just to think about the beginning of this process, just the process of applying and getting approved for and kind of getting that entire, getting all of your benefits around your SSI or your Medicaid eligibility in place. A lot of people say, look, we jumped through so many hoops. just to get this. And in many cases, the person who's benefiting from those programs, change doesn't necessarily make things easier.
No.
They're not necessarily as open to change as other people might be. And so in some cases, you should say, look, we don't want to rock the boat. We want everything to stay the same, and we're trying not to have that become a problem. So whether the private pay even becomes a real option or not, but it really comes down to we're trying to just not rock the boat and keep everything going. And the idea behind the Special Needs Trust is the money's still there. It's still available for the beneficiary who might be getting some of these access to some of these programs, but the money doesn't kick them off the program.
Correct.
That's really the genesis of how this works, right?
Yep.
And then the person, so use kind of the fact pattern that you laid out a minute ago. So if mom and dad are doing this planning,
Fact pattern. I
All right.
laid out the fact pattern.
if mom and dad are doing this planning and they have 3 children, for example, and one of their children is in a situation where it does have special needs and they want to do this planning, what they would more than likely do if they were doing that is they would say, look, if something happens to us, we want our estate to be distributed to our kids equally, right? To Mo, Larry, and Curly equally, but Curly's money.
What unfortunate names.
I know, but just to illustrate the point, right? But Curly's money doesn't go outright to Curly. Curly's money goes to Curly through a special needs trust,
right.
and then mom and dad get to pick who would be the trustees. Could be some siblings, right? Could be siblings. Could be somebody else. Doesn't have to be siblings. Could be anybody that mom and dad pick. But the idea is that their estate still goes to the 3 kids the way they want it to go, and to the child with special needs, that money then goes directly to a trust for that beneficiary. And then that beneficiary, if something ever happened to them, mom and dad can sort of ahead of time decide where would that money go if something happened to our child with special needs, because your child with special needs might have a different lifespan based on their condition. And so if it's a condition that you think would put them in a position where they don't have as much longevity, then you'd figure out where it's going to go. And then that you could then decide, okay, if something happens to my child, I want the money to be split between my surviving children, for example.
Yeah, right, which is the whole function of the trust, right? The
Yeah.
trust that, well, all the trust does is from an estate planning standpoint, it just enables you to kind of paint your picture as to what you want to see happen after you go.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
That's really what they do, right?
That's right. And not have the money create a problem for you with your benefits.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Well, that's the big function of that special needs trust, that it allows you to continue with your benefits, which, and again, I'm kind of thinking of our example, and this is a person, she's in her 40s, the child especially is in her 40s now, and it's a lifetime of
Sure.
of a different kind of life than most of us
sure,
experience,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's people with special needs, and again there's different levels and different severities, and I don't pretend to know what that's like, but I can only imagine that it's so much more challenging than people who don't. And oftentimes, how often you see somebody who's disabled, and like in the supermarket or something, you're like, what was I complaining about this morning? Like,
Right.
what was I? I was feeling sorry for myself because I was late for a meeting, or because I don't know, I didn't get to go out to dinner last night, or something stupid like that. But what these people have to deal with is much different than what most of us do.
Now, what sometimes you'll hear happen, right? If somebody doesn't do this planning, for example, or in the
How do they?
context of doing this planning, we'll suggest to them, hey, you might want to think about setting up a special needs trust. This could kind of help out and benefit, your child, child A. And they say, well, look, we're not going to do that. You know what we're going to do? We're just going to cut them out completely. We're just not going to have them benefit at all. And then my other 2 kids, they pinky promise me
Yeah.
that when they get their siblings' money, they're going to make sure that they're taken care of, and that they're going to do the right
And they're
thing.
going to take
right?
care of their sister.
They're going to take care of their sister, their brother. They're going to do whatever they're supposed to do. They promised us this, and we're confident that that's going to work. Okay.
What could go wrong?
Well, here's what could go wrong. So we talk
just
about
teeing
this
that up, right?
all the time, right? What could go wrong? Well, a whole bunch of things. Bankruptcy or creditor issues for your siblings, for your children
Yeah.
who are going to take care of their sibling. Now, remember, we all know what we think the handshake plan is. We all know what the pinky promise is here, right?
This is what you said back
But
in
that's
19...
right.
Yeah.
Yep, but which is fine. They can still want to keep that promise. But here's what doesn't happen. To the outside world, there is no promise.
Yeah.
Nothing's written down, right? And then somebody will say, Well, we'll write it down. And then my answer is, well, if we're going to write it down, why don't we write it down so it looks like a special needs trust?
Yeah,
why don't we write it down so
why
it's
don't we
about
write it
21
down? Yeah.
pages long and has a trustee and has a beneficiary
And it's
it has
notarized
rules?
by my office.
I said, we can call it all kinds of things, but at the end of the day,
what
here's
you
what we're
want.
going to end up calling it. We're going to end up calling it a special needs
Yeah,
trust.
we don't need.
So-
you know what? Actually, we can type it on the computer
Yep.
and print it out instead of just writing it on that
the
piece of
handle.
paper.
We can make it look really good. So the problem is if you leave money to your kids and they promise they're going to do the right thing, the concern is not that they're not going to hold up their end of the deal. The issue is that forces outside of their control are going to create a problem with them holding up their end of the deal. So if they have bankruptcy or creditor issues, and all the bankruptcy people or all the creditors see is money that they inherited from you, the promise is not worth a hill of beans because they're not going to care that there's a promise, because the promise looks like they're trying to get rid of their money that they inherited from you. They don't care. If there's nothing written down,
Go
if
down
it's
the
not
list.
a trust, if it doesn't walk like a trust, talk like a trust, it's not a trust. They're not going to see that, and they're going to say, that's money that the kids own, and they're going to trial for, they're going to go file for bankruptcy. We want our money, okay?
Yeah.
That's one issue that always comes up. And then the other issue that comes up is it's always the outlaws, right? So the marriage that we all thought was made in heaven is
right.
no longer made in heaven.
Yeah, so there's that, right? There's the divorce piece,
That's
right?
right.
There's-
So now one of your kids who promised to do something with your money is getting divorced, and their attorney says, yeah, but they inherited $500,000 that's in a brokerage
It's
account
their money.
that's in their name.
there's no, right, you said, where's that agreement, that 21-page agreement?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, well, no, but I promised I would do this. Yeah, but that's not what there's nothing written down. There's nothing that says that. So it's your money, and now my client, your soon-to-be
Ex-wife is
wants half of that
getting
money.
half of it, and they're going to get it.
And you know what? And everybody goes, oh, no, they would never do that. They're getting divorced for a reason, right? And it's not always amicable. It's not always like on Lifetime
for the-
TV.
yeah.
Sometimes it's like those other movies on Lifetime TV where it gets weird and ugly, and they don't care. It's a slash and burn campaign, and this is where they can just to be clear, those siblings, those kids, they can be the trustees of the trust for their sibling.
Yeah.
For their sibling
Which
with
means
special
they
needs.
have full access to that money.
They have full access to money, but to use it for the beneficiary. Right. The divorce doesn't doesn't create a problem with it. The bankruptcy doesn't create a problem with it. It's not their money. They're just the trustee.
And but think about right, and so right. So
and you can change a trustee.
So there's two things, right? Bankruptcy, right?
Yep.
Bankruptcy and divorce could throw a monkey wrench in this. My other kids are going to take care of this, right? What's another thing that happens? Let's say, I don't know, let's say you had a kid who was a junior in high school and was about to get ready to go to school, and you were going to be able to qualify from financial aid, and then all of a sudden you inherited $500,000.
But $250 of it's not mine.
Yeah, right. But that,
$250
it doesn't matter. Like it's money that's
don't care.
that's going to be it's to take care of your
you got to prove a
disabled
negative,
sister.
right? You can't prove it's not yours if it's in your name, right?
It doesn't matter.
And then there's other issues like those two kids who you might choose, or 2 kids or 10 kids, how many kids? Those 2 kids that you choose to do this, to be that trustee and to hold on to that money, that might be terrible. They might be terrible
They
with
may
money.
not be able to do it. Right.
They might be like, look, you're talking about the worry about them not getting financial aid.
Well, that's right?
Which is a real concern.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the situation where they go, look, you know what? Look, we got this extra $250,000 for sister or brother A or B, right? And you know
There's
what?
this new thing called crypto.
If we put this in Bitcoin, this is how much. That's one problem.
Yeah.
Or they say, look, right now we have our own college bills that we get to pay.
Right.
And so you know what we got to do? Let's just use some of their money.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pay for school. We'll get the college thing taken care of. It's only going to use half of their money, and then we'll put it back, right? Well, we're definitely going to put it back. We can always take a loan later. Or you know what? It comes to us if something happens to them anyway, and they're not going to use all this money. There's no way they could use all this money.
No.
So we're just going to do something with it that kind of channels it into a different direction. But it's always, we'll always put it back if we need to. Right? That's just not. That's bad. That's a bad idea.
I'd like to join this multi-level thing and get involved in some.
I'm selling some cleaning products to my friends, and they're going to get them to sell cleaning products to their friends. Same things we could buy at the store. I don't know why you're buying it from me in the house.
Oh no, it's better.
Oh, it's way better.
You get that high touch sale.
It's way better.
You get that high touch.
So that becomes an issue, right? So a couple things to think about. The first thing is, does it make sense to try to do it the other way, which we try to avoid if we can do it. It's our job is
you
just
you talked them out of it.
our job is to advise
if
and
they
guide.
walk out of your
guidance and
office.
advice, right? So
Yeah.
if they say no, we're going to do it that way. Okay, we've covered the
Sign
bases.
here.
Sign this letter right here, so that later we don't get in trouble, and then make sure we're covered. And that's the alternative theory. So the better theory is to incorporate this idea of the special needs trust, where you have specifically called out, this part of my money, this part of my inheritance is to go to this child, and this is who's going to be in charge of it, and this is who's going to babysit this thing, and this is what it can be used for. And the trust will literally say, it's for the benefit of this child, and it's not to be used if it's going to somehow mess up their benefits that they're going to get. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the idea. We'll take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about number one, a couple of ways that you can form the special needs trust. Whether how you want to do it is up to you.
Form it.
And then the other thing we're going to talk about is if you didn't do the special needs trust, but you still sort of need to do it, because there's two types of trust that we'll talk about.
What do you do?
That's
What do you
right.
do?
Let's
All right.
figure it out.
All right, we'll be right back. My FM 101.3. Do not go anywhere. Holliston Cable Access 2.
Stay tight.
Yeah.
And we're back. My FM 101.3. Jay Marsden with the Marsden Law Group. John Drohan, Main Effort Financial.
Jay Joseph.
Christian steering us through the cosmos here as we ride along on this great big rock. You know what I
rock
watched
ride.
the other day? I watched, what was it? It was a documentary on
Oh, I thought it was movie review
Netflix.
time.
No,
oh.
it was a documentary on Netflix. It was the one about fishing.
Oh, yeah, I saw the commercial for that, where like how the fishing, the commercial fishing,
the impact
yeah,
commercial
yeah.
fishing has. Yeah,
Yeah, it makes you not want to eat swordfish.
It makes
yeah.
you not want so it makes you not want to eat any fish. Is
Yeah.
what it makes you not want to. It's a whole. If you want to see an interesting documentary, picked up on that this
I
week.
mean, and you think about that, right? You're like, how does all this just keep going, right? Because it's it's so easy to get anything, right? It's so easy to get.
Well, I mean, what breaks my heart is when you see like the numbers that show you the decline in certain stocks, right? Certain species, right? Like the decline in hammerhead sharks in the past 25, 30 years, the decline in this species, the decline in that species, and the numbers are in like the 85 to 90.
Yeah.
And you're like, 85 to, could you imagine taking off, could you imagine getting rid of 90% of the people in the United States as like we get rid of some of the species,
Right.
or the culling here?
90% of the
I mean,
lawyers in the United States. What? That would be awful.
oh my gosh, that would be, especially in my particular area, like Metro West, that'd be
Can you
horrible.
imagine all those guys just decided to quit, and then it was just me left?
Imagine if
at my
90% of the
office?
lawyers in my geographic area all of a sudden
They
retired.
just said, you know what? I don't want to do estate planning anymore.
Gosh,
No.
I would be
Those
heartbroken.
Medicaid applications are too hard for me.
I would be-
I'm going to refer you to somebody
That
else.
would be heartbroken. That would be heartbreaking. Heartbreaking.
that would be
Speaking of Medicaid applications. So we're working on this idea of this concept of special needs. So there's two ways to go about doing it.
wait, what about the fish? You were just talking
Just
about.
watch the fish video. Watch the fish documentary.
that-
Sad.
Now
Bum
you
you
got
out.
me- I'm hungry now.
You might become a pescatarian at the end of that if you want to think about it.
Could do.
They have this. Of course, at the end they talk about plant-based everything now.
Yeah.
So you some plant-based shrimp, plant-based this,
Plant-based tuna
plant-based that.
fish.
So
Delish.
sounds
Yeah.
made up to
What
me,
could-
but whatever.
What could go wrong?
That's right. That's right. What could go wrong with combining
could
those
go wrong?
species,
No,
right?
what-
That's
yeah,
right.
I-
So
wait, can it before one thing?
Go
Where
ahead,
you
go
mentioned the
ahead.
hammerhead shark.
Yeah.
So I actually saw a hammerhead shark. So in the water in real life. Yeah.
I didn't think you saw it in downtown Holliston.
No. But I saw. I mean, not at an aquarium. Like in
water.
the mouth of the Chagres River, which
Yep.
is the beginning of the Panama Canal.
Yep.
That is the largest breeding ground for hammerhead sharks in the world.
Sure.
Well, at least that's what they told us back in the day. And so we were I was in one of those 15-man Zodiac boats.
Yeah.
And paddling along, and it's daytime.
Yeah.
And I saw a hammerhead shark, and I'm like, oh wow, a hammerhead shark, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, one, two,
and the,
three, four.
and the guy who was our NCO who was the boat captain,
Yeah.
I guess. I've never seen anybody get more scared in my life. He's like, whoa, don't, no, paddles out. Everybody out, just be quiet, be cool. And I'm like, why? He goes, that's a hammerhead shark.
He's in the water. We're in the boat.
He goes, hammerhead sharks, it's not like they're going to sniff around. Hammerhead sharks they're worse than great white sharks. And I'm like, I didn't know that. He's like, oh yeah.
They don't mess around.
They don't mess around.
I mean, bull sharks.
Yeah.
They don't mess around with a bull shark.
That's
Those
right.
things, those decide it's always lunchtime.
Right. I'm hungry even though I'm not. Yeah.
We went shark diving in the Bahamas one time, and I was down there with some buddies. And
Shark diving.
climb out of the boat, and you
What
go
could
down
go
and,
wrong?
and you sit there, and then they open up. They bring like a 5-gallon bucket of chum, and they just move this thing down to the bottom,
And
then
they
they
sit
just
here,
basically
rub this on your arms and your
and
feet.
then they basically
Yeah.
just open up a bucket of like fish guts, right? And they're
Yeah.
like, let's see who shows up, right? And all of a sudden it's like, whoa! It's like
Yeah.
it's like trying to get into like for Springsteen
Yeah,
tickets,
right.
right? Like 80 sharks hanging around, like looking for like, hey, what's up here?
It's all you can eat.
Who rang
right?
the dinner bell?
It's
Let's
all
see.
you can eat at the
Let's make-
buffet.
the guy says, when you're doing this, he goes, make sure you keep your hands really close to your body. Don't go waving them around so they look like little fish.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, that's good advice. That's good
Yeah, 'cause
advice.
those guys may want something fresher.
Yeah, that's right. They might not like the chum. They might want to go with the fresh, caught.
All right, good.
So,
Good fish detract. All right, let's get back to special needs trust. It has nothing to do with hammerhead
Absolutely
sharks.
nothing to do with hammerhead
No.
sharks. That's right. That's right. But so there's two ways you can go about having special needs trust. One way you can go about having it is you can actually go ahead and have a separate special needs trust drafted, right? So, for example, you could say, look, I have my revocable trust, right? That's going to handle all my assets. And then my revocable trust leaves my estate to my family. Let's say we get 3 kids. And so it leaves it a third, a third, a third. And it will say right in the revocable trust, 1/3 of these assets are to go to this special needs trust for this child. And the special needs trust, and you mentioned it a minute ago, and it just kind of sits there in the on deck circle until it's called on, right?
Sure.
Until it actually needs to be funded, and kind of that's when it sort of springs into action, right? So otherwise, it just sits there, and at some point during your lifetime, you're having some conversation with clients about gifting, and you're trying to figure out what doing some planning. You might make a suggestion that says, "Hey, look, maybe we'll fund this trust, right? Maybe we'll put some money in it now, or we'll put some securities in it. We'll kind of let it grow, and we'll kind of let it develop over time." And then again, remember, the idea is that you're funding the trust either at your passing or early with money that's going to be used to take care of for example, one of your children who might need these resources in addition to government benefits that they're already getting.
Right.
And so that's what it does. The other thing that we started to see more recently is people will actually include special needs trust language inside their revocable trust.
Inside the regular trust.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. So rather than have 2 separate trusts, they say, look, we have one trust for 3 kids, and then in that trust is the language that says, and if the money should pass to child A, who's the one that has special needs that we're trying to protect, this money is to be governed, and you can put in your trust document, governed separately, governed according to these sort of tenets right here. It doesn't have to be its own separate trust. And you can include all that language in one document.
And remember, that's what a trust is, right? For guys like who didn't go to law school, the way I've always been described a trust. Trust is a box, and inside that box you put stuff. And inside that box there's a specific set of instructions that says this is. First thing it says is this is in charge of this box.
Yeah, this is who can open the box.
This is who can open the box. This is who can do stuff in it. You can move stuff in and out of the box. And then this is what and then it's specific exactly what they can do. So that's a great point in that, do I need, in my trust, a revocable trust, and I just learned that is that it can actually, but it makes sense, right? It makes sense that it could, just be you using the trust language. This is how it's going down, right?
Yep.
So if we get to this situation, here's the playbook. This is what we're going to do.
Yep. This is how we're going to do it. So again, you either do it as a separate freestanding trust, or you do it as a trust language inside your already revocable trust. And the inside your revocable trust might, again, depending on sort of everybody's comfort level with the trust language, and sometimes people struggle with the concepts and how the trust works. Sometimes it's easier to do it in your revocable trust because you can give yourself a little bit of flexibility in terms of making changes to who's in charge, and it's already funded. So all that's really going to happen is if something ever happened to you, 2 of the 3 beneficiaries are going to take their money out of the trust.
Right.
And the 1/3 beneficiary whose money is going to stay in the trust, or it's meant to stay in the trust, isn't going to have to do that.
So it essentially just becomes a special needs trust.
Essentially, that's right. At your death, it becomes irrevocable anyway.
Yep.
And then at that point, that money that stays in there just stays in there and is subject to the rules that you've put in the trust. And there's some standard special needs language that they're going to use and that they're going to put in there. And that's the way you would set it up. Now, the important thing to remember when you have a special needs trust, we talked about there's 2 types.
He's getting excited.
The important thing to remember is one of the if mom and dad set up the special needs trust, for example, right? The trust was not set up with the child's money. The government, Medicaid, for example, they don't get to come back and look at this money and say, hey, how much money did we pay out for your child's care? we need to be reimbursed,
Right.
right? That's called a third-party special needs trust, set up by somebody other than the beneficiary, other than the person who has the need for the special needs trust. And that money, because the person who set it up is not the beneficiary, they can direct what happens to that money when they're not around. And they can say, look, the money in my special needs trust that I set up for my child is to go to my other children upon the passing of my disabled child, if that's what the parents want. But because they're the ones directing that, the government does not get to raise its
That's
hand
right.
and say, hey, count me in.
Yeah, as opposed to if I set up a special needs trust for myself, then it's a different animal, right? Then
And where we would see that is in situations where somebody says, geez, my parents never did this planning. They'd never thought it through. They didn't want to think about it. They didn't want to face it. They didn't want to deal with those issues. So because they didn't do that, my sibling inherited their $300,000, for example, and now we have to decide what we're going to do. That beneficiary who has the special needs, they can fund their own special needs trust, and then once they've done that, they can use that money, they can keep their benefits, but if something happens to them, there's language in the trust that says, in, for example, Massachusetts, the state of
You're paying back,
Massachusetts,
yeah.
the Medicaid people, they have the right to step in and say, before this money gets paid out to anybody, we
Hold
get
on.
paid back.
Hold on
We
a
get
second.
hold
Right. You're going to
everything.
get a call from a guy who has ESQ at the end of his name or something.
Maybe not. It might
Let me
be just,
hold,
you know,
hold
but-
on,
yep.
hold on a second.
Now, there's still a benefit to doing that because
course there
remember,
is.
what's going to
You
happen
get your
is
benefits.
you're going to keep your benefits and you can use the money, right? So the goal is not to try to put it in that trust and sock it away and not use it. The goal is to use it, put it in that trust and use it and use that money to supplement your life and improve your quality of life. Yeah. And if you use most of it, or maybe you use almost all of it, for example, then what would happen is you would have the ability to say, look, Medicaid can only recover up to, for the most part, Medicaid can only recover what's left in that trust.
Right.
So if you got 300 and you spend 250 of it, and something happens, and Medicaid comes knocking on your door.
And you got $50,000 of benefits from Medicaid. That's it.
Well, you got more. Let's say you got more than that. Let's say you got.
No, but I mean at least 50. You know
Oh,
what
that's
I mean?
right. At least
right.
50. Yeah,
They're
that's
only
right.
taking what they gave you.
No. They're only taking what they gave you, but they can only recover from what's left.
Exactly.
They can't go knocking at somebody else's door, right?
Yeah,
So to your point, you got $300,000 in benefits. You put $300,000 in a special needs trust. You spent 250 of it on yourself, and then there's 50 grand left. And Medicaid comes along and says, Medicaid says, well, we spent 150 on you. Well, all I got's 50. So you can have the 50, and the 100 is just kind of goes in the wind, right? There's nothing they can do about
My
it.
brother's really bad at blackjack.
That's right. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, he's a terrible gambler, terrible gambler. So that's in cases where you've set the trust up. Now, the other thing that factors into this from a planning perspective is for smaller dollar amounts. And we're talking 300,000. We're talking, but for smaller
That's not small
dollar
dollar. I thought that was small dollar amounts.
No,
for you.
well, at the beginning of the story, it was small. But I'm saying if you inherit 50,
Yeah.
or you inherit 30, and that's going to create a problem. There are organizations that handle or that have established and set up what they call pooled trust arrangements. And basically what happens is they take these smaller dollar amounts and they combine these monies, right? They pool them with other beneficiaries like yourself who have smaller dollars amount. So the economies of scale look a little bit different because now they have more money, and they will actually become the trustee and for all the same reasons, manage that money for you. They'll also hand out do the distributions for you, make sure that you're paying for the right things at the right time in the right way. And then if something happened, they have a fee. They get paid to be a trustee. They keep some money behind, and then in addition to that, they'll handle the payouts and the reimbursement through Medicaid. Now, in most cases, these pooled trust organizations are exactly that. They're creatures of statute. It's not something that we as a lawyer would set up. We wouldn't set up a pooled trust. We would say, this is the pooled trust organization, if you will,
give these
that
guys
we
a call.
use. This is who you want to talk to. We have one that we use quite a bit. We've had good luck with, and other people use other. There's a couple of them in the state, and they're all entities that are sort of kind of not state sponsored, but they're set up by the statute. So that's how those operate, and it can be a lot easier to get somebody like that involved because they know the business. They know the rules. They know what you can do. They know what you can't do.
Right, and then right. I'm thinking just from a times perspective, it could save you so much time, so much headache. Because, like you said, they know it, right?
Yeah.
And so for a small, is it worth you to be able to just say they're just going to say, okay, we'll be able to distribute this money anytime you need it, and for these this laundry list of reasons. And is it worth it for you to just, again, because maybe, would you do it with a larger amount of money? Who knows? But for the small amounts, it may just be, that would save me a huge headache.
And this is exactly the situation where if you were ever going to consider a more professional trustee, and for example, and have it not just be a family member or not just be a friend, this is one of those situations where having a professional trustee who can kind of work with the family dynamic, or a professional co-trustee, where you can have somebody manage the business side of the relationship, if you will,
Right.
and then you have a family member that's involved that can manage sort of the more personal nature of the relationship. But this is a really good place to say, you know what, it probably makes sense for us to get a professional trustee involved and not necessarily leave it to a family member which is in just a pure revocable trust situation. They just be paying a couple of checks out and paying some bills, and they're done. This is an ongoing relationship that probably needs a little more attention. You want to think about that.
Well, that's the thing, right? It's one of those things that really needs attention.
Sure.
Because you're talking about, in our example, a child with special needs, and a child that grows to adulthood, or that is always going to need some kind of care. So, in your mind, if I can, again, like I'm kind of, I don't know this, but if I'm imagining if I were a parent of a child with special needs, and I've spent that child's entire lifetime, just really like taking care of them to a level that most of us don't understand, right?
Yeah.
So and it's almost like that's how I'm wired. In my DNA, like I take care of my special, because that's what we do every single day. But then it's like at some point, I'm going to check out, right? And you as a parent, your care for your children doesn't go away, right? It's not one of those things that even no matter you're 100 years old and your kids are 78 years old, you still care for them the same way you did when they were babies. So even more for a special needs child, like you're in that position where you're like, I just want to make sure that they're okay, because I may get to a point where I can't take care of them anymore. I may get to a point where I pass away, and then what's going to happen?
Well, and we've had conversations with clients we have conversations with clients who have young kids who say, look, I haven't done my planning yet because I don't know where I want my minor kids to go. And same conversation that you just mentioned, which is we have clients who say, look, even in situations where I have an adult child, if I have an adult disabled child, they are absolutely, in some cases, torn over who would handle the relationship, who would handle the money, what would this situation look like? And so you really have to do what you just said, which is you got to kind of assure somebody that says, look, the first thing you want to do is get the planning done, right? And the planning getting done means if something were to happen to you, we have a plan in place so that this can all be taken care of. Because if you don't get it taken care of, you're definitely heading off to probate court to deal with conservatorship issues, to deal with guardianship issues, and to, for example, have the court or ask the court to establish a special needs trust. And it's a lot of work, when a special needs trust is not part of the planning, and you add this as part of the mix, and it can really, really, really get challenging. And this is also a case where, you want to make sure, and we joke about this on the show all the time, right? Make sure you like your advisor, make sure you like your lawyer, make sure your lawyer likes you, right? This is exactly where you want to make sure, because this is the time where you get phone calls from people who say all the time, do I need to make some changes to my plan?
Yeah.
Your situation is much more fluid than somebody else's situation might be. We talked about the changes in the in the retirement planning laws about how long you can stretch retirement accounts out for.
Yeah.
Does it make sense to change the way you've got your assets lined up so that your IRAs go to, for example, to two of your kids, but the sales proceeds from your house that doesn't have to flow through the IRA goes to a special needs trust for the benefit of a disabled child? So there's some estate, balancing acts that need to get addressed here.
Think about it. From an estate plan, you're like, okay, I have, my example, I have 3 children, right? And my special needs child is in her 40s. My other children are in their 40s, early 50s. You may say, okay, guess what? good news, bad news. The good news is that everybody's okay, and we put everybody through college. And the bad news is that this isn't all going 1/3, 1/3, 1/3,
No.
because, and again, because our one child, your sister or your brother, has special needs. And guess what? When we go, someone's got to pay to take care. We have to pay to take, unless, and we can't put it on somebody to do it, because maybe they need full-time care. Maybe it's one of those situations where they need, and all of your assets, or most of them, are, you may say, I need to put all of it, everything needs to go to that special needs trust.
Yeah.
And again, that's the thing about what Jay was explaining before, is that the special needs trust has beneficiaries, right?
Yeah.
So when something happens to said special needs child or special needs sibling, then whatever the remainder of the money is goes to the beneficiaries.
Or the complete opposite. You might say, look, you know what? We can adjust our estate plan in such a way that my kids who don't have special needs challenges that we have to worry about, they get 80% of our estate. And because my special needs child, most of her needs are already met, they don't have a high kind of outside, then a smaller percentage of the estate could go to them. So it's not always a third or a 50-50 situation. It could be a 90-10, it could be an 80-20. There's lots of considerations to discuss. And these considerations could potentially leverage into financial considerations where you say, look, maybe we need to look at different types of life insurance planning. Maybe we have to look at second to die life insurance policies.
Sure,
Maybe
and oftentimes that's right. Those are one of the things that you'll use to fund some of these special needs trusts, because you may not have. Look, again, the first thing we always tell our clients, like your retirement is first. Your ability, and then kind of what's left second. But in the case of the special needs, sometimes you have to do it at the same time, because most of the time we'll say that. Well, I'll be like, look. Unless my client says, I really want to leave a legacy. I'm like, that's nice. I want, but your kids both have jobs and they're married and they're going to be okay. In the case if there's a special needs child or that you're still taking care of, that's a different animal, right? That's right. They're built into that retirement. It's not like when you and your wife die, then that's it, because now you still have another child. It'd be the same thing as if you had a minor child.
That's right.
It's the same considerations.
Yeah, and so again, the planning goes down a different path. And the other thing is, this is not the type of planning that you compare with other people who are in completely different situations. I say that, these conversations, now if you have friends, sometimes a lot of the, depending on some of the special needs, there's support groups and there's things like that kind of
that people that you have similarities.
That's right. Yes, families facing similar situations, similar challenges. Those are the conversations. Those are the people that you want to talk to and say, hey, we're trying to get this planning done. If you guys talk to somebody, did you get this done? What were your considerations? You don't want to compare your situation to somebody who's in a completely different situation, who might have a whole different set of challenges that are unlike yours. You want to compare apples to apples in these types of situations. Sure. That's the idea.
All right. So as everybody knows, you can reach us on moneyinthelaw.net if you have any questions you want to talk about. If you want to get into some more, reach us on moneyinthelaw.net. We'll be happy to connect with you. What else? I think I feel like we've covered
we're close
this.
to wrap it up. I mean, we're through. First of all, I will say this. I don't know if you probably didn't talk about this with anybody before you got here. Was March like the fastest month ever?
You know what?
I mean, it's one of the longest months, right? It feels like it's supposed to go on forever.
And it's designed to be like, in like a lion, out like a lamb. Yeah. And I blinked and it was gone.
Yeah.
I blinked and it was gone.
April, next month.
And here we go. And
tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow for us it'll be April 3rd, but it'll be Holy Saturday when you're listening to this, right?
Yeah.
For all you fish-eating Catholics out there.
After you saw that last thing, you might not do. That's fine. It's a different animal.
Easter a big cheese pizza. On
Easter a big
Friday.
Day over there. Big day at the Drohan household.
Well, it is. It is. I mean, it's because of COVID. Our Easter traditionally is at my in-laws' house,
sure.
It's an Easter egg hunt. It's the whole 9 yards. Yeah. But this year we're not going to do it. We're still kind of on the. We're not quite there yet. But yeah, it's a big event and it's fun. How about you guys?
It'll probably be almost everybody that would be at our Easter celebration has been vaccinated.
Oh.
The numbers worked out for a whole host of reasons. We get some educators in the crew. We get some healthcare workers in the crew.
You might be okay.
So we've got looking at the numbers. We might have our first borderline somewhat normal
say
get
party.
together. No,
Don't
no, it's
say
not a
party.
party. It's not
No,
a party.
don't
There's
say
no parties.
party.
There's no parties. But that it might look more normal than it's looked in a while. That's probably the case. We hang out. We spend the day with our in-laws. We'll get together with them, and I'll check in with with my mom, see what she's got going on, and we'll take.
You
it
got
from
to have
there.
a good mom check-in. Yeah.
Well, I know. Yeah, she gets to pick. She gets to pick. She's got 3. She got to pick her favorite. See who she wants to hang out with.
I mean, you know what?
We're
not saying
I don't always win that
nothing against
battle.
Jay's
I don't always win
sisters.
that
I mean,
battle.
but it's we're not. It's not a competition.
No, it
And
is.
let's
It
just-
is.
But just maybe be glad that it's not.
Yep, but it is. Yeah. So that's that. And
I have one last shout out. A shout out to my sisters, my twin sisters, my baby sisters, who are 6 years younger than me.
Yep.
So when I was growing up, I never called them by their names. I was
Why
just
would
like, yeah, right. So my sisters, both, and now as we've moved into adulthood, my sisters are now superstars in the softball world as they both coach for Northwestern University.
Nice, go, yeah.
And I'm just miserable little me, and they remind me that I was awful to them, and
Sure.
but we've since made up.
It's your
and
job as
I
an
try
older
to make
sibling.
exactly. I try to make. I was making them tough, right?
you were
It's like,
preparing them for the world.
yep, that's right.
They wouldn't be where they are
but
today.
I think they've kind of come full circle and forgiven me. But they had this past weekend against Wisconsin was my sister's 641st victory and so she is the winningest coach in Northwestern history. Passing
Really?
Sarah Andrade-
Congratulations.
yeah. So that was a big deal, right? And my sister Kate, who's the head coach, she was named as the Big Ten Coach of the Year last year. So this could be
This could be their breakout again.
So Northwestern went to the World Series in 2006 and 2007, and hasn't been back since. Hasn't been back to the big show in Oklahoma City.
They're overdue.
So they're overdue. But it's big time D1 college sports. It ain't easy.
No,
ain't easy to get there.
no.
So congratulations to my kid sisters, who are far smarter in any type of athletic stuff than I will ever be.
Winningest sisters with
yeah.
the losingest brother.
And Carol is the assistant coach or the associate head coach. She's been there the whole time too, so she gets just as much credit.
Nice. Hey, props.
All right. So congratulations.
Congratulations is right.
All right. That's it. We're gonna wrap
Guys,
everything
have
up.
a great holiday. Spend time with family.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Wear your mask.
Yeah, wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Wear your mask. All right. We'll see everybody next week at MyFM 101.3. Money,
And
money,
the law.
and the law.
Right here.
See you next week.
See you, everybody.